down to it and shoot for the sky.
Hello and welcome to the Ring Post Daily Podcast. You're listening to myself, Jesse Henrik, the RPD Prophecy Champion, Tyreek Ramsey, the Ring General, Joey Hudson, the Honorary Oos, Eddie Wade, the Future Champ, and our guest today, Evil Nate, or better known as Killbilly, and the Chainsaw Queen herself, Dahlia Black. How are you guys doing today?
I am doing good. I am Black Dahlia.
Oh, Black
okay.
Dahlia. I'm sorry.
For making that mistake.
I'm sorry.
To be fair,
damn you, Jesse.
To be fair, to be fair, on Facebook, it wouldn't let me put, the Black Dahlia or even Black as the first name, so I had to flip my name. To be fair,
you guys should have told me.
Facebook, but I have known as
okay.
I honestly didn't read your DM.
Oh no,
she expected you to know this.
It's okay. I should have done my homework.
You and I are going to shoot fight. You do realize you and I are going to, I literally will lay hands on you, sir.
All right.
No, you guys don't know. For the podcast principles, we were off air for a minute, and him and I were going at it. So, I feel like he hates me.
No, you're fine.
I know how I felt when Austin Michaels was on attacking me.
Well,
Yeah, I got a tag right there. See, he's going to back me up with you.
We really appreciate you guys being on here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? How did you get into the business? Nate, I know, you blur the lines really between horror and wrestling. So kind of how did that, manifest for you? And Dahlia, I understand you've kind of been making a triumphant comeback. From what I've been reading. So can you kind of tell us a little about what that's been for you? Nate, if you want to start.
Yeah, that's fine. Doing really good this evening. Thank you guys for.
We just woke up, so that's why we're a little exhausted. Night shift schedule is just so great.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. Pretty cool. I always enjoy doing podcasts, and I enjoy always getting to do them with Dahlia, so this is cool. As far as me with the wrestling and stuff, and then horror, I was a big horror fan as a kid. Like Friday the 13th was probably the first thing that really attracted me. But so was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because there's something about that movie. Like, there's no in between. You either love it or you hate it. Like, there's no middle ground on that film. It's like either the greatest thing you've ever seen, or just you look at it as a piece of trash.
Hey,
which I honestly don't run into too many people that.
Yeah, no, like it's a cult classic.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. But as far as like blurring the lines just between those two things, I feel like wrestling has always had a history of blurring the lines with horror and wrestling. And it just comes from like the first time I ever saw Mankind as a kid, I thought of Leatherface, because he was wearing the brown, and he was like walking, and he would do the squeal.
The squealing.
Yeah, he'd do the squealing like a pig. He would do all that stuff, tearing his hair out. And even though he didn't carry a chainsaw out, like, he just always reminded me of Leatherface. And then Kane was like Michael Myers, Undertaker was like Hellraiser, Pinhead. So you can always find different aspects of horror in wrestling. So for me, it was just a natural marriage of the two genres.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm just curious, did you take like these monster figures like Kane, Taker, Mankind, even Abyss? Did you take any of these guys and just like, try to learn how to be a monster type?
Surprisingly, no. And the reason I didn't is because I'm not the biggest guy. Like I'm either a big small guy or
you're looking juicy guy, though, dude. Like seeing some of your latest pictures. No, you look good.
I really appreciate that. I'm a big Stone Cold Steve Austin mark. Like that's my everything. Is Steve Austin, and then The Rock, and then Randy Savage. So like all of those, like I actually took from those, and I took more instead of what these guys did in wrestling. I took from the movies and just added instead. So I took my favorite wrestlers that were not horror characters and I added it to my favorite actual horror characters. But I still appreciate the guys that I just listed and you just listed because I watch their stuff. But that's what I marry is more of a Steve Austin with Leatherface. If that makes sense.
See, the reason I think it's cool is like I think it's cool because I have this friend who hates wrestling, but he loves horror movies and stuff. He has a whole sleeve dedicated with all the characters, and it's actually badass. But this is like your character is something I could be like, come on, dude, come to this show and check out this character. And even though he might not like the wrestling part of the show, I feel like that's something I could be like. He would go to the show and be like, okay, that was pretty cool. Like, for a wrestling show, that was pretty cool. So I think it's a way to get like horror fans into wrestling as well.
Thanks. It's I attribute a lot of the help. So Dolly and I came up with this whole shtick when we were and I know you'll get to them, but when we were training under Rikishi out in LA, we came up with this whole shtick of the gimmick and the character out there when we were sleeping out of the car because we used to do she was like an evil Miss Elizabeth, mixed with Sherry Martel, and like she was so badass at like her gimmick as a valet before she started training as a wrestler, and I was like this rock star. I'd come out with a microphone stand, and I took a little bit from Chris Jericho, but I took more from like all my favorite frontmen of like 80s hair metal, and I would just come out. I would start off with, instead of like how Adam Cole does the Bebe, I would do my own Bebe. And I didn't even know of Adam Cole at that time. But we did that, and then we transitioned from those gimmicks to what we're doing now. And Dahlia really helped me come up with that. Basically, she was like, we love Leatherface, we love Texas Chainsaw, but what if that's been done? What if we took that aspect of it? She was like, we added this. What would happen if Leatherface skinned Sasquatch? What would happen if Leatherface skinned an alien or skinned Mothman? And I was like, man, that's it. That's what we're doing. And so that's what we've been doing because the Leatherface gimmick's been done, like from Corporal Kirshner to Tony Myers that's now carrying the mantle of Leatherface. So, like, and then, the late, great Terry Funk and the Chainsaw Charlie. That all had been done. So we put our own spin on it, and I was like, yeah, Dolly, that's a great idea. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, like cryptozoology is like something that we're fascinated with.
Yeah,
so,
and obsessed with.
And no one at the time, it was 2016 when we came up with this gimmick. It was December 2016 in Los Angeles, and we're like, the Ed Gein gimmick has been played on, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gimmick has been played on, and it's like, how can we adapt this and make it original? And cryptozoology had not been touched on professional wrestling as of 2016.
Not that I know of.
So we came up with the whole gimmick of we're out here semi-vigilantes, not really good guys, bad guys, and we're hunting down different cryptozoologies, like the human flesh. Those are serial killers that we hunted down, and it just like we took something that's already been done before and made it our own to where it's never been done before. No one has done a cryptozoology gimmick, and like one of the ones I'm looking forward to doing. Like right now, we have an alien, Bigfoot, serial killer, Mothman, and the next is going to be like a Wendigo. Awesome. So that one's going to be really fun.
And I'm really excited about getting a Krampus.
Yeah, for Christmas.
For a Christmas special or something, that'd be crisp.
That's cool.
Yeah, we already have the T-shirt design.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt design where I like severed Krampus' head, and it says something about a Krampus. Yeah, Krampus took a wrong turn in Kentucky.
Yeah, but as for me with my gimmick, it was 2011 when I created the Black Dahlia gimmick. A lot of people wanted to. I was just 18 years old, and a lot of people wanted to put like porn star names on me and stripper
just sexualize
names.
It. They just wanted to sexualize like what she was doing. So.
Yeah, and sex sells. So there is a part for a sexual gimmick. There is a part for a serious gimmick. I think sexualized gimmicks are beautiful and just fine. But as an 18-year-old, I didn't want to be sugar tits. Whatever. And it's like, man, I was a theater nerd though. I was very snooty and very I was an actor, so a theater kid. So I was like, I want to be taken seriously, and
No,
it was
that's
just
But she
I
came in.
respect that.
You got to think, like she said,
2011 before
2011. Look at that landscape of how women's wrestling was at that time.
True.
I turned
True.
on WWE to study the work of what was going on with our higher ups. So it's like you study who has made it to the dance, who's on the dance, and where you want to be. And the segments with the women, like their entrances were longer than their
Yeah.
matches. And I know the
Those
women
were
can't
hard
help that, but
times.
that's how we were booked back then. And then one of them, like, so you got to think, like, trigger warning, but I would. Oh shit. Someone's about to get attacked by a Bigfoot.
All them dogs.
Please keep filming.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I can't go in there and stop them. I'm on camera.
No, it's a,
I keep saying I'm gonna turn him.
did you not wear pants or something?
I keep saying I'm gonna turn him into
You won't
Chinese
stand up,
food.
you got
You
pants
won't
on?
stand up. Are you not wearing pants? Like,
No, I'm just on camera. I want to stay professional. I don't want to get up and go in there. And, see, now they're quiet.
what is it for? He's not
Go
wearing pants.
go deal with him, Joey.
Did I just show my ass on camera before the show? Did I not just show my ass on camera, guys, before we started?
Pervert. What a creep. Like, I'm totally not wearing a blanket right now as pants either.
All right,
But no,
and then,
I do think it's
Dude,
cool.
for podcast, I want to get half.
So-
I do think
So
one thing
moving-
that's cool about you guys is a lot of people try to take from other wrestling gimmicks and stuff and make that theirs. I like how you guys kind of looked at your favorite like movies or favorite characters and try to bring that over to wrestling instead of trying to rehash something that's been done in wrestling. You try to come up with something new outside of wrestling and bring it in. I think that's a really cool aspect.
Thank you. That was when we wanted to add the chainsaw aspect to it. I was like, well, I can't just do any chainsaw because anybody can go out to Lowe's or a Home Depot and pick up a chainsaw. So since I've been a fanatic and a mark of the Texas Chainsaw franchise since I was like a 12-year-old kid, and I've been fascinated and fixated on the chainsaw Leatherface gets in Part 3. It's the big chrome golden chainsaw his brother presents to him.
That's cool.
And it's called the Excalibur. So I knew there were independent artists out there that customized these chainsaws because I came across one back in 2011 and I said, one day I'm going to own that saw. So when we did this, I was like, what a perfect, excuse for me to finally get this chainsaw and, waste a couple $1,000 on it. I said, because if I do this, nobody else, I don't have to worry about anybody else running around on the indies with a big gold chrome chainsaw. You know what I mean? So that was, we always acknowledge who we take from and who's inspired us.
Yeah.
We never stray from that at all. Never, ever. Because there's other guys out there on the indies that some people will try to pit me against and put me against. And I'm like, whoa, we got a similar gimmick. We can work together, baby. That's
exactly. There's so I was the first ever Black Dahlia in professional wrestling. I think that was 2011 to present day. I think one other girl tried to do the Black Dahlia gimmick and over in England, I think, and she was just around in 16 to 17, but she's not involved anymore. I didn't freak out. I loved that. And then I love when people have similar gimmicks because I think, hey, let's link up. Hey, let's collab. We can do a feud or we can do a tag. So I love when people have similar gimmicks. But also, there's I'm the first ever chainsaw queen of professional wrestling. I created this gimmick in 2016.
Yep.
I think there's only one other girl with a chainsaw now, and
she works for a while.
She's my friend. Her and I are friends, and she's the other chainsaw queen.
She's cool. She supports her.
Yeah. But there are some other guys that are doing completely different gimmicks than what Nathaniel's doing, and they get a little Google faced when they see Nathaniel.
Oh, absolutely.
But then I've worked with guys. But then I've worked with guys like the Carver, and he was great. He had no problem with my gimmick at all, and we did good business.
And it's like they say, controversy creates cash, and I mean, I feel like having those really set gimmicks, and then you talk about having competition out there that might be doing something similar. It's really cool because you can really see, who's got their heart in it, who's really, putting in the work. And I feel like that's something that really sets you guys apart because, I mean, we can see it. I've been a fan of yours for, probably the last 6 months is when I, kind of found you and I'm like, damn, I really want to get this guy on the show. And just, waiting those 6 months.
Oh, thank
How
you.
long have you been a fan of
So
Dahlia? How long have you been a fan of
6
Dahlia's?
months.
As well? As well
He
or
played it
less
safe.
Sa-
than
He
sa-
played it
how
same
safe.
amount of
long?
time. Same amount
He
of
played
time.
it safe.
But
How long have you been
he's in fairness, he came first. He's the one I found first. I don't remember where I saw you,
Give Jesse
but
credit.
Whatever.
Give
when I
Jesse
found
credit. He's
out
playing
that
Why
it
do
safe
you
here.
hate me?
when I found out that we kind of had a connection through cousin Frank, I was like, hey, I reached out to him. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, can you reach out to this guy? Because I've sent him messages, but they don't go through because Facebook's an asshole. And I'm like, I really want this guy on the show, and so it's really great to have you guys here
Oh, it's so
now.
cool, man.
And then just kind of
Shout out.
Thanks.
I'm glad to be on it. I'm really excited to
and
be
then just to
here.
kind of
Shout
wrap
out to
things
cousin
up.
Frank and
Even if you hate me.
TSW.
Just kind of wrap things up with this question. Dahlia, I know that you're kind of making a return to wrestling. You were out for some time. Can you tell us a little bit about why you were out for those who don't know, and tell us what it's been like coming back? Or if not, it's fine.
Yeah. It's a no, of course, no. It honestly is a crazy story. I thought that my story about how I became a professional wrestler was crazy, and I'll write books one day. And no lie, like our story that we can get into later on of how I became a professional wrestler and how Nathaniel was trained as a wrestler as well. It was so theatrical. It's like you watch movies to see this dumb shit that Nathaniel and I went
It's
through.
very
Yeah.
inspirational. It
But then
seems
to be
because
injured,
from what I've seen people say,
it's pretty
and just
badass.
kind of the little bits of information that I've kind of found along the way, just from how long I've known you, I've known of you two. I'm very interested to hear you guys' side of the story.
Yeah, we can get into that, but basically, yes, guys, I've been out on an injury, and it's been. We can get this out of the way, and then we can go into the fun
Okay.
conversation. But my injury has been 6 years, and it's crazy to say that because 6 years is 6 years of your life. 6 years is like my 20s. 6 years is
Better part of a
Oh
decade.
yeah.
yeah, and to be fair, you hear about wrestlers that are out for like 10, 15, 20 years, but so my 6 years is a little laughable, but it still is
Oh
my
no,
life. So,
like you said, it's your life.
Hey, I just
So
want to point something out. Let me point something out. There are
Joey, let them
wrestlers
talk.
who get injured, and well, she's kind of put herself down, I think. And I just want to point out, there's wrestlers that don't make it back from injuries, whether they choose not to do it or they just physically
um,
can't. So it's being off for 6 years and making this comeback, like. If anything, that's more respectable because you could have just walked away and left it alone. But this is something you love doing, and 6 years and
thank
coming
you.
back is
Yeah,
no different than coming back, 8 months from an injury to me.
Yeah.
right. Thank you for pointing that out. And I am my biggest critic, so I do let myself have it verbally in my head, so to speak. So being injured for 6 years, it's heartbreaking because I am actually technically not injured. I am disabled. And it's hard for me to use that verbiage, and it's hard for me to accept that label. I mean, when you get hurt, you get hurt,
Exactly.
and then maybe your injury hurt when it rains out or when it gets cold out, and that's an injury, or you have an accident that causes an injury, but then you get better. And I never did. And there's a medical term for it, and it is called CRPS. And that is why I have not been wrestling. All my fans and some haters out there think it's cute and funny that I'm not wrestling and that I was put in a wheelchair and that, oh, I'm not out there grinding, because people see, like, they'll see us sitting here laughing and they think that I just have the perfect life and that everything's great. But everything's more than just a cute pan-up video or a cute photo or my life has forever changed because of professional wrestling. And like I said, I'm just going to point out this deep thing and then just
No,
go
you're
and
fine.
laugh about and talk about our wrestling career. But to put a cap on it, guys, I basically I tore my ligaments in the ring out in LA when I was training under Rikishi. Rikishi witnessed it. The whole class witnessed it. I was in a match, and basically I had plantar fasciitis in both my feet. My accident in the ring, when I was thrown out and I landed on the concrete outside of the ring, I tore both ligaments in my feet because of the plantar fasciitis, the swelling in my feet. So when you think an athlete tears their muscles, they have surgery, and then they're back at it within a year.
A lot of fans do think that.
Unbeknownst to me, yeah, that's what's been driving me crazy. So I had my muscles medically released,
Yeah.
and I've been in chronic pain ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had 4 foot surgeries trying to block off nerves, and here I am 6 years later, and I'm still in chronic pain. Talking to you guys right now, I'm in chronic pain. And CRPS is the most painful disease a human can experience, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to gas myself up.
Well, to intervene, it's not my story. I've just been in the passenger seat. What CRPS is, and we just, it's only been recently we got turned on to really what it is,
Yeah.
and what she's been going through for the better part of, this past decade, these 6+ years now. CRPS, basically, it's pain is like a traumatic part of your body that was injured, and then the pain is just continuously shooting to your brain, and your brain is going haywire, and your brain can't turn it off. And so you have, because your spinal cord, and I'm no doctor, trust me, you can tell I'm not, but the spinal cord, basically, it's a stairway, and it's sending those signals, up top here to the attic, and it just keeps pain, because the trauma from what she did. I mean, you're talking about somebody, she was an athlete her whole life. She was doing dance. She was doing, all the sports you can think of. And she dealt with this plantar fasciitis basically her entire life. And finally, and I watched her out in LA, we're all out there training. She's doing her match and stuff. And I watched her get thrown out. She stays down for a second, pops up and tries to take off, goes back down and pops up and keeps going. And she kept going. And at that time too, I know Keish, he pulled her to the side and said, listen, you're injured. Like you need to sit down. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. If you're hurt, you can go on. If you're injured, you need to stop. So she was injured, but she continued pushing through training. She continued pushing, going to the gym. She continued going and doing our job. Like I'd catch
torn ligaments.
Yeah, torn ligaments.
I was still in
catch
LA.
her. I'd come around the aisle of where we'd be working out, and she's sitting in the floor dealing with her feet, but still working.
Wow.
And I mean, she's a bad bitch. She's a bad bitch because
I was gonna say we got a badass on our hands, but you said it best.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah, I've watched what she's done, and she every second of every day of every week of every month for the past 6+ years, this girl's been in pain.
Yeah,
and
that's the scariest.
It sucks.
Well, I can actually. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries, guys. If I, I was trying to, conclude, was just so we can get off the heavy subject. Yeah. When you get injured, you have surgery, and then you rehab, and you're good.
Yeah.
I haven't been good for 6 years. I've been in chronic pain for 6 years. And if you Google CRPS, it's not only the most painful disease a human could go through, it's a suicide disease. It literally... I'm lucky to be alive right now. Imagine the way that therapy explains it to those that don't know. Imagine the worst pain you have ever experienced in your entire life, whether it was breaking a bone as a kid or whatever. Imagine that pain, hold it in your brain, and then in my case, put it in the bottom of both of your feet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That is every single day. Like right now, and unfortunately it's flare-ups. Sometimes it will flare up to worse. And then other times I could be sitting here right now and be at a level like my version of a 1 or 2. And unfortunately, we get desensitized when you're in chronic pain. So my 1 or 2 could be your 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I'm no selling my pain right now. I'm sitting here having a good time with you guys, but I'm in chronic pain. Yeah. But when I go and work 10-hour night shifts. I work a full-time job. I don't live off the government. And I go to the gym and I work out and I'm trying to get in amazing shape for wrestling. and I'm in chronic pain.
Yeah.
all the
And
time.
when people laugh at me or be like, you haven't even wrestled your first match yet, like you're a joke, you trained under Funaki for under a year, Rikishi for under a year, and then you got put in a wheelchair. That's not funny. Like, I have people in my DMs that want me to wrestle. I have people from other countries and all the different states.
Here's
I could be wrestling right now. I medically can't.
Here's what's funny. Like, she hasn't even wrestled her first match yet, and like a couple weeks ago, she's doing Queens, New York.
The shows, the signings.
Signing with Alicia Fox. Yeah. And then the next day, she's doing Wrestle Bash 2 in Fairfield, New Jersey. And she's there with Haku, Casey Navarro, Billy Gunn, D'Lo Brown sitting across from us. You know, guys I grew up watching.
Wow, that's cool.
And Enzo's right down, and like she's right there with them. Hasn't even wrestled her first match yet. I'm out there, not crazy.
You're not trying.
I'm not
getting
crazy booking, but I'm actually out there wrestling. And everybody give a fuck about me, and this girl's over here killing it. You know what I'm saying?
Is Enzo?
No, Nathaniel's not trying.
Is Enzo as crazy in real life as you would think he is on TV? Like, he just seems like batshit out there.
He came off pretty professional.
He's very professional.
Bada boom.
He came off pretty professional. Yeah.
Do you guys? Should I tell the story about how I met him there?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's funny. It's very funny.
This fan came up to me, and he's amazing. Shout out to him. I call him the cheese guy, because when you're a nobody like me, you're surprised when people want to pay to get a photo with you, pay to get an autograph. I'm like, me? You sure? Like, I just like, who? Me?
And
no.
I'm taking the photos. I'm like, all right, come on, guys.
Well, Nathaniel, you know my angles.
Yeah.
Like, make me look skinny.
Yeah.
So anyway, this fan comes up to me, and he has cheese, like an actual block of cheese that he made. And I'm just like, I fucking made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
I was like,
and
like when a fan hands you a block of cheese that they made, and it's like,
and
but anyway, so I'm there, and I'm my blood sugar's like dropping. I'm about to pass out. I'm overheated. My anxiety's through the roof. My foot pain is rising, which causes anxiety and social anxiety. So it's like, shit. I need to get out of here. But then everyone sees that I was just smiling, having a good time, right? So anyway, this fan approaches me. I'm interacting with my fan and getting photos, and then next thing you know, he hands me a block of cheese, and I'm like, I'm showing signs of lactose intolerance. So I'm just like, word vomit, because I'm just like so blunt. I was like, man, this is going to destroy my asshole later.
Right as she says,
As I said that,
you didn't expect that.
Enzo was strolling by, and he hears her say that, his eyes get wide, and he whips his head
he's like,
around.
who's this dumb bitch?
He's like, yo, whoa, and then he starts talking. So.
Really nice guy, though, to answer your question. I think I was the crazy one to answer your question.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's just crazy. Like you just told that whole story. I resonate with this dude here because I used to work with one of my best friends. I got all my friends tattooed on me. She has what they could call fibromyalgia, and it's like nerve damage stuff. And we'd work in the same area together in the kitchen, and she would just, like, we didn't get breaks or nothing, so it was nonstop work, and she'd be in so much pain that there'd be days where I did, like, 2 people's jobs, because I'd help her out quite a bit. She's my best friend, and I just realized what she was going through. But no, it's just, like, I can kind of resonate with your story about what you're going through and like, you being by your side, because I was there because, like, my best friend who wanted people tattooed on me, you know, I did the same thing for her. You know, I had her back when she needed me. I picked up slack when she needed it. I was there for her when she needed me. So I can resonate with that story, actually. That's pretty crazy.
I hate that for her. That's awful.
And
that's awful.
it very
Pain is real.
Well, she's just like you, though. She's just like you, though. You would never tell she's hurting at work. But, like, as her friend and being next to her, I could tell from time to time, like, okay, she's I think she's getting tired. It's because it tired her out, too. Yeah. But anyone else would laugh around her and have fun.
When you're in the passenger seat. Yeah, when you're in the passenger seat like that and you're watching somebody you care about, you're watching a friend, somebody you're close to like that, you know what they're going through, but everybody else sees somebody just cutting it up, posting photos online,
Laughing,
Yeah.
having
fun.
a good time, but they don't know what's behind those
And
eyes.
she's
You know what I
and
mean?
she's like one of the most
And
fun-loving people you could meet. You would never know she's in pain by just like meeting her for a few minutes or whatever. But me working around her, hanging out with her after work and everything, because we were friends. At times you
yeah,
can be like, okay, it's flaring up. It's really getting to her. She's like, she needs to take a break, but she's not going to. She's a badass. She's not slowing down. You can't tell she's in pain. I can just resonate with what you're saying about this story like so much. It's crazy.
cool.
So,
That's
And
awesome.
the amount of mental strength that
oh,
takes,
absolutely.
like just to
Right.
still be in that good mood, and not really not really ignore the pain, but just still be able to
Right.
Bear through it.
Because the terminology that I've been educating myself on is it's called desensitize or
Yeah.
desensitization.
Yeah.
It's basically you just are like a prisoner of war and you just gotta like just
Go on
through it.
autopilot,
Go on
basically.
autopilot.
That's basically what she does. Like she buckles down, she does what she has to, and she just still gets it done. And very sorry to hear about your friend. I hate
It's
that
awful.
because it's like I said, being in the passenger seat. I'm never going to know what she's going through, but I see it, and it's
And
awful.
like even you could admit like being in that passenger seat too. It's kind of like, man, I wish I could take some of that pain away. I wish I could help, but
Yep.
that you can't. You know that the only thing you can do is be there for them. Like I said, I think it's
Yep,
just
that's
really crazy that we, like you, her, me, and even my friend, you put us four in a room and we can just like resonate with each other on this. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I like how
So-
we can connect on that though.
That's
So to
yeah, definitely, and that's kind of like why I.
oh no,
sorry, go on.
you're fine. Did you have something else?
Oh, just to.
Go ahead.
You got something else?
Oh no, just to conclude, that's why I became that's why I learned how to walk again. With CRPS and with the other health issues that I deal with, it just I could have stayed in the wheelchair, I could have lived off the government and no one would have ever heard of me. But
She can't stop though.
I sacrificed so much for wrestling, living out of my vehicle, not just for a day, not just for a little weekend trip, going and getting bookings, but no, I sacrificed thousands of dollars for wrestling school. I sacrificed my mental health, my physical health, and having CRPS and being in chronic pain the rest of my life. I didn't want it to be for nothing.
She didn't come, like I was telling her, she didn't come this far just to come this far.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
With people questioning me and like being mean and insensitive towards why I'm not wrestling, I was like, I'm just going to flex a little and show people what I'm capable of. And I went through my DMs and I was offered to do Wrestle Bash 1 last year and I turned it down. I was offered to do, I'm offered a lot of stuff and it's not a flex, it's just facts. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to show people that not only am I a professional wrestler, but since I'm not able to wrestle right now because of my physical health, and since I'm not wanting to ballet right now for my mental health, I want to respect my boundaries. And I was like, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to show people what I'm capable of. And I was like, fuck it. So I was like, here you go. Boom, New York.
And I basically
Boom.
forced her. Like,
That's
you're gonna do
seriously
it,
inspirational.
Boom, New Jersey. And then,
And that's
yeah.
that's why I love wrestlers, because it's like to me that's superhuman. It's just
Yes.
it's all
It really
superhuman
is.
to be able to do that.
Thank
John
So-
Cena, example one.
So we kind of touched on this earlier. It's a brilliant story, and I'm sure you have much more to tell. But I want to respect you guys' time. You guys kind of mentioned how
No
you.
worries.
You're good. Same
Oh
with you
no,
guys.
thank
Same
you.
with you.
You mentioned how you were at the show, and you kind of felt like she was getting a bunch of attention, and like you're the wrestler right now, and like you're out there actually going through it, and she is too. But I find like you guys' look and your gear and everything is so different and so eye catching that I feel like that's how a lot of fans probably first find you. That's obviously how I first found you. So can you tell me a little bit about your gear and who kind of, can you share with us who made it and what it's like going out there? And you hear the term wearing a lot of different hats. Well, you guys wear a lot of different people's skins. So can you tell us what that's like?
So, really, really quick. The thing was, with it, I always thought it was funny before we get into that. I thought it was funny how I'm having a couple bookings a month, and I'm out there
You're
wrestling.
not trying.
Yeah,
though.
I know, but I'm just having like a couple of months wrestling here and there, kind of stay fresh and stuff. And then Dahlia hasn't even wrestled her first match yet, and like she's the hot commodity, and like that makes me so proud because I'm like she deserves this, and there's never been any form of like, oh, I'm so jealous or anything like that. There's always just been like, this is badass. I'm honored to be a part of this, and I've always thought
You
that
know,
was
it's
cool.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saying you were
Oh, yeah,
suggesting
no.
that or anything. I'm just like setting that straight. Like I'm nothing but proud of her, and I've always thought it was so cool. And I've been laughing about it. And I used to tell her, I was like, you don't understand. Everything I'm doing right now, the little bit, you're gonna blow that out of the water like in 5 seconds once you announce that you're
So I
taking
gotta
bookings.
ask.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
I gotta
Yeah,
ask because you kind of have that sort of mindset you kind of described there. Do you guys sort of have almost like a Karrion Kross Scarlett dynamic between you guys with your fans? Like where
I can see it.
Karrion is the guy who
can
kind of
see it.
backs everything up, but then Scarlett's the one who's front and center, who everybody's like immediately like drawn to like a magnet.
that
Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth.
it started off as a Randy Savage Elizabeth thing, but kind of like this is how I used to say it, and then I'll get into the gear thing. For
Yeah,
you.
I'm excited to talk
Yeah,
about it.
this is how I used to say it is I get booked because of her, but so they'll bring me in either because like she's like, hey,
You can get booked.
no, I have, especially the past couple of years. I've gotten myself booked because of the chainsaw and the gimmick, and then people see my work rate, or not my work rate, but how I work in the ring and how I tell my stories and what I do, and they're like, okay, cool, he's more than just a chainsaw and flesh, so we can do this. But back in the day, especially, I was getting booked because of her, so they bring me in. It's like, okay, whatever, we're gonna bring this guy in. But then I'd cut my promos and I'd be like, okay, we're gonna keep this guy. So he's not only got this piece of hot ass with him, but then he can talk.
So pretty much she got your foot in the door, and then they saw what you were about, and they're like, oh, okay, well, good thing we picked him up.
But when we went down to Texas, when we left Kentucky and we went down to San Antonio, the booker down there, he didn't really want to book me. He wanted her. He didn't want me. But then we drove down, and Hernandez was part of the company. He was part of the booker and part of like helping everything. And he was like, "Oh no, we're going to use both of them." And then they heard me cut a promo, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, we're going to keep him." Like,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why. So she got my foot in the door down there.
At least,
Well, that's the thing. It's like, occasionally people might just see me and want me, but the moment they see you wrestle and hear your promo, they're like, okay, this.
But it's usually the promo, and then how I just put my matches together and how I try to tell stories, because I don't do a bunch of flips and flops. Nothing wrong with that. You do your thing, but that's not my style.
More of a technical.
I'm more of Memphis-y, Southern Steve Austin, Randy Savage-esque type of thing, It's building to the moment and to the moves. So yeah, but she'd always get me booked back in the day, like especially out of state, and then it'd be my job to keep myself there.
And to be fair, in our entire history of wrestling, besides wrestling school, we never took wrestling seriously. We never desperately tried to get booked. Like right now where I'm dealing with my CRPS, Nate is not even trying to reach out and get booked 3-4 times a week.
No, I'm just taking bookings kind of, sporadically here and there to make sure my in-ring cardio is still good and to make sure I'm still pumping my name out there and putting content out there for my YouTube and my social media. And plus I love wrestling. So I'm not really trying, but I'm having a booking here and there right now.
You're staying in ring shape.
I still haven't fully, and I need.
It's like things are still happening. Yeah.
It's just the unfortunate part of I have no family. I have friends scattered across the United States, but I don't have like a small town community where I grew up.
It's just me and her. That's it.
So we really rely on each other. And battling CRPS this whole time, being scared and not having any financial or moral support from family or friends, I just had my best friend, Nathaniel. Yep. And
that's all I've had is her.
So he's been more focused on keeping me alive and that's the truth of
Yeah.
it, than getting
That's
booked.
amazing.
Like, he'll get booked here or there,
Yeah.
but we've been more concerned on what's going on with my feet.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't realize
No.
that. And
that's okay. You know, that is what it is. But on a lighter note, I have always thought it was funny. Like, oh yeah, she'll get me booked at places, and that's the reason I made the comment. I was like, it's so funny. I'm out here, I'm wrestling and stuff. She's not even had her first match yet, and she's getting booked doing autographs and signings with legends.
Just for the record,
and when I made
it's
that
so,
comparison,
it's so
when I made
surreal.
that comparison to Carrie Cross and Scarlett, like, I wasn't, dissing you at all. It's just, I don't feel like WWE audience
No.
understands Carrie
I
Cross.
make that.
I feel like, but Scarlett gets
No.
his foot in the door, like Dahlia maybe gets your foot in the door.
I make that. It's funny you made that because I make that comparison all the time. I actually call myself the Wish version of Karrion Cross, and yeah, that's what I refer to myself
We're the
as.
Dollar General version.
Yeah, we're the dollar store version of those. Like, they're the up there.
She's gorgeous. She's phenomenally gorgeous and talented. And this is no jab towards plastic surgery, but let me get my face done like hers, my boobs done, and a Brazilian butt. Let me get my work done.
Let me get a little more jacked.
Maybe
I need to get a little more
maybe I'll go
jacked.
from the Wish version to the Walmart version or the Dollar.
They'll be the dollar store version then.
Well, for what it's
So
worth,
again,
we think you guys are great the way you are.
People, very talented.
And hey, you said that when they pick you up because of her, and then they say, "Oh crap, we want to keep this guy." At least they're giving you that. Back in the '90s, Randy Savage got signed to WCW. The only stipulation was they had to sign his brother Lanny Poffo, and or whatever. And then wait, he got his brother's name Lanny.
Yeah, Lanny Poffo.
They had to sign his brother. Yeah, they had to sign him to WCW too, but it wasn't for a wrestling contract. They signed him all those years to stay home just because they wanted Randy that bad. And Lanny never had a match. Funny. He never wrestled.
I know. That's the greatest job you could have, man. So I'm cool with it. I love it. And with our gear, it was very important to find somebody. So the person that does my trunks, it's Killa Custom Rockware. She does everybody, like, she does people in NXT, WWE, AEW. She does a lot of Chris Jericho stuff. She does a lot of the late great Bray Wyatt. She did a ton of his stuff. Like, so as far as like trunks, that's who does that stuff. Now, as far as my actual vest and mask that I wrestle in and walk out in, the guy that's done our stuff, he's down in Florida. His name is Tony. His company name is Spellbound Effects and Art. And I'm talking, he is top tier Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero level.
It's crisp.
Like, his stuff is so good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot. And he's done mine and Dahlia's human flesh. Mine and Dahlia's alien skin. Mine and Dahlia's Sasquatch skin. We have a decapitated extraterrestrial and Bigfoot head that he did for us.
Which, by the way, what do you guys think about the alien stuff going on in Mexico, was it?
Yeah, the Mexican government released those.
What do you guys think about
it? I honestly don't know too much about it.
Or something?
I haven't researched it enough, but I think it's exciting.
I think I saw that on Facebook, like 700 million years old.
Maybe playing Starfield for the last 2 weeks has corrupted me, but I think it would be very foolish to think that we're the only ones out there in the universe. That's my official stance on it.
Either way, it's very scary. Either way, if we're the only ones in the universe, that's terrifying. And then if we're not, that's terrifying. So either way, it's scary.
Here's a twist. Here's a twist. If you don't believe in ghosts and aliens and stuff, then you're kind of doubting the powers of God, and God can make anything happen. So you mean to say for me to not believe that there's other life forms or ghosts or anything like that? It's like, if I say that, I'm saying God's powers are not that strong. Like, no, I believe in my God, and I believe that stuff exists.
That's how I've always approached it. And mine and Dahlia's philosophy is prove to us that it doesn't exist. Not that it does, but prove to me that it doesn't exist.
Let me just say this, guys. I've always been open-minded, and it's like, I guess deep down I've always been a believer, but I like to think I'm neutral, and I was 50-50. But when I saw a UFO for the first time, and I saw it in detail because it was crashing, that made me a believer.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to be that crazy person that tells that story of seeing a crashing spaceship.
Yeah, we both saw it. It was wild.
And if you guys want to hear about it, I'll tell you. But it's one of those things where it's like, fuck, no one's going to believe this.
Yeah.
So yes,
It was like,
I do 1,000% believe aliens exist.
We saw it in the mountains of eastern Kentucky where
They didn't ask.
I know, but I'm not going into it. I'm just saying. We saw it in the mountains of eastern Kentucky, and when it happened, it was like seeing the face of God. I was like, "That's awesome."
And see, I think
that's crazy.
So
it's a true testament to professional wrestling bringing people together that we have, you know, a handful of Christians, myself a pagan, and we're sitting here debating the theoretical existence of aliens. But yeah, this is a pro wrestling podcast.
Open-minded, just be open-minded.
That's it. Cause like my vantage point, my viewpoint actually is that I believe in God, I believe in the devil, I believe in angels, I believe in demons, I believe in aliens, I believe in Bigfoot, I believe in ghosts. I'm for it all.
Me too.
So that's just my ideals on it.
Right.
So
Ty, you want to keep us going here?
Yeah, so guys, you guys kind of went into this a little bit, but once again, like, what's kind of the dynamic between you guys? Like, in other words, like, what is Black Dahlia to Evil Nate, and what is Evil Nate to Black Dahlia? I'll start with you, Nate. What is Black Dahlia to you?
Oh, Black Dahlia to me would be.
I think we're asking that for more of like performance wise, because obviously you guys are together in real life. Like, we could see that, but who in character? Who are these two entities to each other? Are you the sister Abigail to his Bray Wyatt, that sort of thing?
Because you know it's like Cross, of course, is like a psychopath, and then Scarlett's the witch, and who they have sort of that dynamic there.
It's essentially that. It's essentially like that type of thing.
It's like the monster and handler situation.
Black Dahlia would be. Yeah, she'd be like, like this in the original Chainsaw. You have the face of the family, which is Drayton Sawyer, the cook, and he's the one that can deal with the public and stuff. That's what she would be, and then I would be that thing when the mask is on. Where, okay, this is the Leatherface, the hitchhiker. So, like, essentially, to my character, the Black Dahlia to Evil Nate, is the handler, is the communicational thing, is kind of the, she kind of plans everything. Like, but also, too, the Evil Nate character is not a mongoloid Leatherface. Yeah. The Evil Nate character, when he's got the mask on, he becomes the Killbilly. He inherits that, because when the mask is on, when the mask is on, he doesn't have to take responsibility for what he does. And when the mask comes off, he's more of a Matthew McConaughey, like from Chainsaw 4.
I like that.
Me too.
A lot of people need to understand that gimmick, because there's a handful of people who are like, oh, why does he take off his mask in the wrestling ring? Or that just destroys the gimmick.
It's layers.
No, it's Dr. Jekyll versus
it's part of it's part of it.
Yeah. He speaks differently with the mask on and off. He wrestles differently with the mask on and off. Cool. And he's not just with the wrestling abilities that are different, and then the promos that are different. It's the mannerism and the body language. And I'm originally just a theater actress. I auditioned for the New York Film Academy. I got accepted, and that's my background. So if anything, I'm going to be about the character and about the gimmick. And this is no shade to my coach, but out in LA, Rikishi wanted me just to be the Native American gimmick, and he wanted Nathaniel to be his background, like, and just be a hillbilly gimmick, like more so just stick with your different stereotype to be different gimmicks, and I respect that and I get it. But where I'm more so not full-blooded and mixed, I didn't feel comfortable doing just a full-blown Native American gimmick, and I was like, no, I want to be this chainsaw.
No shade towards Rikishi there, but I'm surprised he kind of threw that at you guys, because I mean, just with you two telling us about your background, I can already picture in my mind, like, more of a skinwalker gimmick with like a priestess type,
Yeah.
handler.
Once he heard about our ideas, he's like, "Oh, I love that gimmick and
Yeah.
stuff." We were just on the floorboard, like when students come in.
It was just
like, I mean, there was like just to go with different
backgrounds. And honestly, like that was kind of the final nail for where I was like, I'm going to, because I have
You always wanted to do a gimmick like that.
Yeah, I always wanted to do the chainsaw gimmick, and I've been doing the rock star gimmick for so long. But my accent, especially when I'm not cutting promos, and I don't have a problem with having a hillbilly accent. I embrace it; doesn't bother me because everybody's got accents. No matter where you go in this country, everybody has a different style. So I stick out when you take this hillbilly from Pikeville, Kentucky, and you drop him off in L.A., you drop me off in San Antonio, you drop me off in New York City, New Jersey. I stick out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do the hillbilly, but I'm going to be the killbilly instead. Because Hillbilly Jim's been done. The Godwins have been done.
Mm-hmm.
That shtick has been done. So I was like, what's the other? Because you got two stereotypes when it comes to hillbillies. You have the dumb, overall wearing, moonshine drinking hillbilly, and then and then that's where I'm getting to this. And then the other stereotype is you have the wrong turn, inbred, and I was like, I'm going to go toward that one because that one scares the shit out of people, and I'm not going to try to be scary. Yeah, it does, because everybody thinks about that in rural America, especially in the Appalachian Mountains where I'm from. That's what you think of. What's going on in those hollows? What's going on in those mountains? What's happening back there?
As an outsider coming in, because that's what everyone called me, shoot-wise, in the small town, the Appalachian Mountains of Eastern Kentucky, as an outsider coming in, they called me an outsider. I had this said to my face. They called me that you ain't from here. So I experienced prejudice and racism there. Don't get me wrong, but with that being said, there is a beautiful artistic culture there, and I feel like you really dipped your toe in that with embracing your Appalachian heritage.
Because because everybody else, they embrace theirs. I mean, the Samoans, they embrace their Samoan dynasty heritage. Everybody embraces their stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace the fact that I'm from Eastern Kentucky. I'm from the mountains. That's unique to some people, and that's different. A lot of people have never seen that. I said, so that's what I'm going to do. So,
and with the Dahlia gimmick, it's kind of like think Joker with Harley Quinn in a sense, because when the mask is off with Nathaniel, and he's the Killbilly, but then he's also Nate Hewitt. And when Nate Hewitt comes out without the mask, think Matthew McConaughey in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film 4. He is more so, he becomes that suave Southern gentleman that is gaslighting and manipulating,
lulling into a sense of security to spring the trap.
And it's like an actual serial killer, like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. They were able to live in society and mask themselves. So that's what I do with Nate Hewitt. I'm able to blend in, but then when the doors are closed, I'm in the backwoods or in my home. The mask is on, and I'm able to become what I can't show out there. So it'd be like that dynamic.
Do you guys know the background of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia?
I can't say I know too much about it, no.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so that's a normal reaction. That's what I have faced since 2011. But recently, everyone's like, yeah, I've heard of the Black Dahlia murder. Oh, yeah, that one woman that got killed. Oh, wait, you talking about the band? I've faced that recently. It's like, okay, so everyone's starting to know the Dahlia. Mm-hmm. But, so, basically, the band, the Black Dahlia murder, they got this from, and then my wrestling gimmick. So, in the 1940s, there was a woman named Elizabeth Short, and she was just a beautiful young woman. I think she was like 22 years old. She just wanted to be famous, wanted to be an actor. Yep. And next thing you know, one morning, her body was found in the middle of a park. A woman was pushing her baby in a stroller, and it's like the 1947 to be exact. If you guys look at my @handles, it's Black Dahlia 47. That's the year she died.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, sorry. So this woman's pushing her baby, and it's early morning, just going on a walk. and she sees what she thinks is one of those mannequin dummies from a mall. And she's like, who just littered in the park? And it turned out to be the nude and severed body of Elizabeth Short.
Yeah.
Her body was sawed in half, and she was sprawled out.
Yeah.
Her nipples were sliced off, and it's not the Joker smile, but the Black Dahlia smile. And her face was cut into a permanent smile.
Wow.
And to this day, no one knows who
Yeah.
killed her. And it's one of the biggest unsolved murders in not only Hollywood, but in American history.
Yeah.
There's theories it was this doctor. There's theories like, unfortunately, when the Dahlia is presented in television, she's presented as like a whore. Like, so she was trying to sleep her way into Hollywood and got involved with the wrong people, which might have been true, but I'm team Elizabeth, and what happened to her was disgusting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pay homage to her as an actor, and also as a fan of horror, and as a person that didn't want to be labeled as a stripper's name in wrestling. I was like, I'm gonna be Black Dahlia.
We're gonna turn
So-
this.
And so that's
We're gonna turn this into a true crime documentary. My wife's gonna have to watch it.
Would you
Oh,
say?
yeah. Well, what?
Would you say that?
she's probably heard of
I'm
the
sure
Black
she
Dahlia.
has.
Would you say that's one of your favorite? Like killer stories? Then,
Yeah.
Yes,
like
definitely.
one of my favorites is the Zodiac Killer. That's one of my favorites. Like,
Oh,
That's
Terrifying.
creepy.
terrifying. That and the in the 1940s in Texarkana, there was the Phantom Killer, and it was very similar to the Zodiac. And that's where the whole idea of don't go to Lover's Lane, the man with the hook and stuff, that's where it comes from, because the Phantom in Texarkana, they never apprehended him. He's killed 5, 6 people and got away with it. He wore a hood.
The funny thing about this story is, as Nathaniel and I are traveling, we have to bring our chainsaw, so we can't fly out to shows. So we actually drive through Texarkana almost every time we go out.
So
west.
we always stop. And what's really cool about it is there's Fauke, Arkansas, then Texarkana. They're about 20 minutes, 30 minutes from each other. So in Fauke, Arkansas is where the Bigfoot, the Boggy Creek Monster is. And then down in Texarkana, you got the Phantom Killer. So,
All right, Ty.
that's neat.
And that's where we blend reality with
Yep.
our gimmick. So whenever we travel to wrestling shows, we stop by and say, oh, is there a cryptid here?
Yeah.
Or is there something
always,
cool?
yeah. Mothman, whatever, yeah.
All right, Ty, go ahead.
All right, got a question for Black Dahlia. Would you say that there's any skills or attributes that would be exclusive to becoming a women's wrestler? Like anything that would stand out as just for women's wrestling that you would, I'd say, I don't know, need to know or would be helpful to learn?
Right. So I'm very OCD with what I do. And when I do something, I want to be the best of the best at it. And I'm very determined. So when I got involved with wrestling, it was strictly about, okay, I need to study footage and I need to go to a proper school. So if anyone wants, any young girl that wants to be a female talent and a female athlete, is really focus on your mental and physical health before you enter this world, because it is the entertainment business. And when I entered the professional wrestling world, I was battling bulimia and anorexia. And as an actress of the early 2000s, I was really struggling with body images issues. I have an hourglass figure. I don't have plastic surgery. I have a natural body. And growing up in the Paris Hilton and the Lindsay Lohan time period, where all the tabloids talked about eating disorders and skip food and you'll look like you're
Again,
an
dark
idol.
times.
So battling an eating disorder, it was very bad. It was so bad. I honestly wish I was a teenager now going through with my body type, because now it's like all the trend to be looking like me. So I just find self-love, mental health, physical health, and be as secure as possible, because you can ask any wrestler, Jackson, like you could get someone that's on steroid that looks amazing, and he'll have, that's me on the inside right now. My soul is speaking through.
Well,
Sorry. But that's what I would say to any little girl. Like, just focus on your mental health and physical health, and truly find a love and respect for the business. And then go for a proper education with schooling, because there's a lot of carnies out there. There's a lot of people that are just trying to take your money. There's a lot of people that are untrained and unsafe to wrestle with.
Right back.
And there's a lot of people that lie about their resumes. So get a sound resume and truly be focused on your mental health, because when I got involved, I had no business being in the business, because being screamed at and called Miss Piggy when I'm actively battling bulimia, it was a nightmare for me. So times have changed. It's not 2011 anymore, but the women's revolution that has happened in wrestling, and women's talent is finally being taken seriously as artists, as performers, and as athletes. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's my advice
and
to everyone that's wanting to involve. Do you want to add anything?
We really appreciate that advice, because we try to market ourselves, and I don't want to say pander because it's the wrong word, but we try to, put ourselves out there as, the spot for, if you're just coming into the business, we want our guests to kind of say, hey, this is what you can expect. This is how you develop, that's the kind of thing. So getting quality advice from you two is really great. And, speaking of, we have our own,
and we also don't have a lot of female guests, so it's good to hear. Women guests or women wrestlers.
But
yeah, I'm happy to be on and happy to represent the vaginas.
and speaking of wrestlers kind of making their way into the business, we have our very own future champ Eddie Wade here, 19-year-old himself out of Kentucky as well. And he's both in wrestling school and a wrestler himself. So I know he has some questions here that he'd like to get off his chest. So if you want to take it away, Mr. Eddie.
Mr. Future TSW champion.
No, Eddie's been here with us the whole time. He's just a strong and silent type.
Our screen's blocking him.
Our screen is completely blocking
Oh no.
him.
He's the voice of God.
Wait. So we have three.
We have four.
Or four.
Three.
Okay, I'm blind.
He bounces back and forth.
I am blind as a bat. Let me move this so I can see.
Yeah, this is Mr. Eddie Wade.
Yeah, he's just the strong and silent type.
Oh yeah.
Hi. Same. But when I'm sleep deprived, I either ramble too much or I don't say anything at all. So it's okay to be silent.
Mr. Eddie Wade here is my future world champion, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yes, let's manifest.
Ask you guys, what was it like being trained under Funaki and Rikishi? That's something I noticed when I was doing my research.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get both on.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm a perfectionist and OCD about what I do, and I believe in being the best of the best. And you want to go to, when you're going to college, you want to go to Harvard, or you want to go to one of the...
Something that's going to look good on the resume.
Something that will look good on the resume when you're going for a job.
Yeah.
So I did some research, and when we were living in Dallas, Texas, before we lived in San Antonio, we found out about Funaki. And when we went and trained under Funaki, we were working night shift, just like at Rikishi's. And what it was like training under these legends is it's very, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
You're learning from the best of the best. It's not just some random carny on the indies that's just trying to take your money, overprice you, and take advantage of you. And I feel like Funaki is such a positive energy and very Japanese. Like, what did you say? He taught us more of a Japanese style,
the strong style,
but also NXT style.
Yeah, he was all. Yeah, well, yeah. I would say by the time we got to him and we were dealing with him, because he's so immersed and deep into the WWE way of doing things, he was teaching us how they were doing stuff in NXT at that time. So this is 2016 when we were down there. 2015.
So the golden years.
And he was basically, for me, he was basically ridding me of all the bad indie habits I had picked up, because I started in Eastern Kentucky and I wasn't trained very well there. I mean, like my first 2 years in the business, I wrestled a shitload of matches. Like it was every weekend. It was just local in Eastern Kentucky. And I wasn't ready. the experience, now I look back on it, is fantastic, but I was not ready at all by any means. And I knew it at that point, too, when I started. And let's see. Sorry, I was thinking. And when that happens, and you go to somebody like that that's exiling all of your bad habits that you've picked up from wrestling these little local indie shows, you kind of have a come to God moment, and it's like, oh, okay, so this makes sense now.
There's a lot of wrestlers on the indies that haven't been properly trained, and you learn bad indie habits. That's what it's called. And me, as a blank canvas, all I had experience was the footage I studied as a valet from like Miss Elizabeth, Scary Sherry, The Woman. I studied footage, and I had a theater background, so I didn't pick up any bad indie habits. If anything, I was educated on the business.
Well, the funny thing about that is before I went to Funaki and Quiche, I had spent, we'll say, a month under Rip Rogers at OVW when OVW was a TNA developmental territory in 2012 and 2013. I was there for a cup of coffee. And the reason I'm bringing that up, because she just said she didn't have any bad indie habits. Rip used to always say, I can take somebody off the street and make them a better worker than I can somebody that's got a shitload of bad indie habits that they've picked up working the independent scene.
It's easier to learn it the correct way the first time as opposed to unlearning something and then
I can see that.
So training under Funaki, one of the things we always talk about is the lockup, because he was very specific about the sharp lockup and
snapping into
he's like, that's
it,
the first contact you have with someone. That's the first thing the fans see, and that's the first interaction you have towards the dance you're about to perform. And he said, if that looks like shit, then
right there, like, you can tell everything you're going to need to be able to tell about a wrestling match. And we were also told too that when people in WWE, and I'm sure AEW now, when they're watching footage to review it, they basically just watch it to the lockup.
Yeah.
And if that lockup is the shits, they ain't watching the rest of it.
So training under Funaki, he was, especially in 15 into 16, he was really immersed in the NXT style. So he would train us like they were training down at the Performance Center. So we'd do our stretches, do our group stretches, and then do the rolls. I always called them the NXT rolls because it was all these different split style rolls that really got you prepared. Because
conditioning in form. It was conditioning in form, like how to protect yourself in matches,
how to protect your opponent.
He wouldn't make us get in there and do. Yeah, he wouldn't make us get in there and do unnecessary bumps, because we got our bodies have a bump card, and one day you're gonna punch that ticket on your last bump, and you can't do it no more. So he wouldn't make us do unnecessary things.
Funaki also told us that when he was younger, back in the day in Japan, his trainers, as soon as he got to class, they'd make him do like 4,000 squats or something. And he said,
the infamous Japanese dojos.
English, he was like, he said, after the first 100, it's pointless. He's like, you're just hurting your body. It's pointless. He's like, never let anyone have you do that. And then scene change, I go to Rikishi's and...
On what, 200 at one time?
I swear to God, it was 600.
Oh my God.
And it was 600 squats, 600 push-ups, 600 crunches. And I'm just like, this is bad on our knees. Funaki said so.
And I think those sorts of activities, those are more geared, I think, less about training you and more about like learning about your drive to see if you want it enough, I think is what the idea behind those is.
They are. It's to weed out the fakes from the the people that actually want it. There's nothing wrong with, I think, doing things like that.
There's a lot of people that are in it for just the clout, just for the money, just for the
really
rock star vibe of
it's really
interacting
the clout.
with fans.
I mean, it's really just the clout. They just want to be famous, or they just want to have 10,000 followers on their fucking Instagram. They don't give a shit about wrestling.
I've heard stuff like that before, where just celebs they come into WWE and they're like, oh, I could do a match just to because I've always wanted to. Then they take that first bump and then they're just like, maybe I could be a commentator or something. Or
that happened, and you'll find out, and that's what we did. Like so with Funaki, it was all about our form, being safe, doing things the right way,
protecting your body,
protecting your opponent's body, conditioning, And really the thing that we took from Funaki, especially me, because apparently my lockup wasn't the best, and he changed that. And it was all about you got to come into it. So, I took how to properly lock up in the beginning of my matches now. So now I took what I learned from him. And then if you go back and you watch Randy Savage, especially when he was like in the 80s and the early 90s and stuff, which I know he was doing it later on in his career, but that lockup where he would bam, you know what I mean, just snap into it. And I try to do that a lot. I try to, when I lock up with guys, slap the shit out of their skin. That way it sounds good and it looks good.
And then as for Rikishi, he was about the business and about
Conditioning.
he wanted your bump to be flawless, and he would always make us do the Simone bump drill, and it was the most blow up drill you could ever do.
Brutal.
And
you're standing in the center of the ring, bump, bump,
think
bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, like the football little. Yeah. It's not high knees, but it's run in place, run in place. Yeah.
Burp.
So he was all about the art of the bump, and making it a nice protect your body, and then also the business, the financial. He educated us on that, on
character.
Know your worth, know your character, and just great people.
You never stop learning it, but it's just like life. You never stop learning. Like you're always going to learn something.
You'll be on your deathbed, and you can learn something. You can learn something new that day. So, always, my advice to you. You're so young, you're 18, 19-year-old kid, right?
Yeah.
Just keep your head down, open ears, closed mouth, listen, absorb, be a sponge, and find the best trainer you can find locally and learn it the right way so you don't have to unlearn bad habits.
And even when you because you're going to encounter some really dumb people, some dumb people that have made it to the top, some dumb people that you probably idolized or that are legends. Some of them are going to suck, and the best thing you can do is just say, okay, and keep on going. Like they're going to try.
For the record, that's not Funaki or Rikishi.
Absolutely
they're amazing.
No, they were great.
But there's people that you'll come across on the indies.
You're going to encounter people. You're going to be, I can't wait to meet this guy. Because me, I'm a mark. I'm always going to be a mark. So anytime I get in a locker room with a name, I'm going to get a photo with them. I have been in a couple situations where I met some guys. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get a photo with him. I'm good. I'm good. So just always, like Dahlia said, ears open, mouth shut. When you know somebody's full of it, it's like that Ultimate Warrior story. He said he'd go out, run through the ring, shake the ropes. He'd come back. The vet would say, kid, you don't need to be doing that. And he would say, yeah, okay. And then he'd keep doing it because he was getting over. You're going to know and you're going to realize, yeah, I'm not going to listen to this guy because he doesn't want me to get over. Yeah. So you're going to run into that.
Right,
I can honestly say, as the manager of Mr. Eddie Wade here, he puts in the work down at Traditional Southern Wrestling, TSW. I mean, this is the guy that will help set up the ring and then go kick some butt in it. Like he learns from all aspects of it, and as his manager, I can honestly say he's doing a fine job.
And Joey does a fine job of kissing ass.
Future world champion.
I appreciate it.
You gotta put over your talent.
Yep.
You gotta put over your talent. And honestly, it sounds like he's on the right track.
I have one more question for you guys. When did you realize that being a professional wrestler was what you wanted to do? Like that's what you wanted your life to be?
I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. For me, I was a kid, and I just fell in love with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because I grew up, I'm 33, so I was very impressed when we were very young when DX and Steve Austin, The Rock, NWO, I was an 8, 9-year-old kid when that was going on. So I knew I wanted to do that at that age. But then when I got in high school, I got into rock and heavy metal like Black Sabbath, and I wanted to be in bands. So I started playing in bands, started writing music, fronted a couple of bands. The problem is, especially when you come from a small town, people like the ideal of doing something. They don't want to put the work in.
True.
You're going to meet about 90% of the people in your life. They like the ideal of it, but they don't want to get uncomfortable. They don't want to dedicate to their craft, and they just don't want to do it. And that's fine. That's completely fine. You don't want to do it, don't do it. So when I realized at that point at 19 that I couldn't keep a band together because everybody was lazy and they didn't want to put the work in, I found a local independent promotion, started going there, started getting involved with it. And then that's when I encountered Dahlia, was in 2011, and she really motivated me to take it way more serious than I have. And so I guess just at that point, I was like, I want to do this, you know.
That's awesome.
And
I can definitely
Yeah.
see parallels to
Uh,
where he was with basketball instead of the rock band, but I could kind of see that, yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
you played basketball in school, you said?
Yeah, I played basketball all 4 years of
Was that your was that your main sport, or did you play other sports as well?
sport I played. I done a year of cross country, but it wasn't really for me.
Right, but that was good training for your basketball though.
Look at my
It
star.
did help with it though.
Look at my star, an athlete.
I played basketball. So I was born in '92. So back in the '90s, early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of girl sports. So I had to be on the boys' team for the most part. And where my sister was older than me by almost 3 years, with her birthday wise, I was able. They had the cutoff of like 4 or 5-year-olds, like the 5-6-year-old leagues. So where my sister was on the team, I was like a 2-year-old that was technically on the team. So I played basketball, softball, volleyball.
That's cool.
I did ballet, tap, dance, jazz. My background in sports, cheerleading, from the age of 2 to senior year, and it's just being an athlete in school was just like so fun.
Yeah,
and
she's been prepped to be a wrestler. Like, she's been born to do this.
Kinda.
So.
I remember showing up. I was so naive. I was like a little girl that he'll love this because he's a basketball fan.
Yeah.
So and one basketball was in my town, and I didn't know it. And my parents took me to this big gymnasium, and there was like really tall motherfuckers there. I didn't know what was going on. I was like 10 years old, and they had probably like 400 girls there. And it was this big, what I thought was a camp. And I was just like, fuck yeah, I'm here. And I thought it was just a camp that was going on that day, and it turned out to be an audition.
Oh, wow.
And my parents didn't tell me that. And they only picked 14 girls out of like the 300 people that were there. And I was one of them, and I got on the and one
That's
basketball
awesome.
team.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's
Our,
nice, yeah.
Got my ass beat. Oh my god. I was like, why am I on this team? Holy shit, I'm getting my ass beat by motherfuckers. Like, oh, they wrestled you like football. There was like football with those girls. And I was a little girl. I'm 5'2". I wasn't even 100 pounds back then. Those girls like manhandled me, and I was humbled. But playing on only boys sports growing up, because only the boys had teams at the time. So I was like the one random girl on the team. I think the boys made me tough. So that's how I think I survived. And then getting involved with wrestling, unfortunately it was a boys sport, and I learned how to wrestle like a guy. I'm not wrestling like this. Like, unfortunately on the indies, there's a derogatory term of you're wrestling like a girl, and females wrestle a certain way, and I wrestle like a man. And I'm a more technical wrestler, so I think that's also my background.
Cool.
Yeah, you got to think like she studies stuff like Randy Savage also. So
all
cool.
right, Joey, kind of take us through your stuff. Try not to waste too much time.
So
I know you do love to ramble.
You guys can have us for another hour if you want. Like, I'll stop rambling.
No, you're
like I
fine.
said, guys, for the watchers,
You-
we're on night shift, and right now it's like 8:50. That's like in the morning for us. We just woke up. I think I got like 2 hours of sleep, so I'm a little all over the place.
You will
so
find when we hand Joey the live mic, he really runs with it. So be careful what you say there.
Oh, awesome. Ask me a serious question.
all right. Well, respectively, who is on each one of your guys' pro wrestling Mount Rushmore?
Oh, okay.
And we can start
Yeah.
with
That's
we can start
easy.
with you,
I
even
thought he was
Nate.
going to ask who's in our DMs. I was like, oh my god.
No, your
There are a ton of
your
people.
Mount Rushmore
Yeah.
wrestling. We can start with any one of y'all that you want to start with, but both of y'all, who's your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Go.
I'll do for my Mount Rushmore. It's going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's going to be The Rock. It's going to be Randy Savage, and then it's probably going to be Ric Flair. And if not Ric Flair, I would remove Ric Flair and add I don't know.
Did you already say Undertaker?
No, I mean it could be him too, but I would put anybody. Goldberg or Ultimate Warrior. I mean, because I like that type of stuff. It's real funny, really quick. I'll let her answer. You see a lot of guys, the cool answer when people are telling out there on the indies. So who's your favorite wrestler? Well, I really like
like Bret Hart.
I really like no, Dean Malenko. I love Dean Malenko. I
Yeah,
love Eddie
Dean
Guerrero,
Malenko.
Chris Benoit. Oh my god, I have some Chris
Oh
Benoit.
yeah, Chris Benoit's the edgy answer that we hear.
That's everybody's favorite answer.
And it's okay to like
Hey,
them. Amazing
I'm not
talent.
saying anything about Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko, and I'm not even saying anything about Chris Benoit, but that's become the cool answer.
For marks,
So
for
when
marks.
when I meet those guys, I say, oh, really? Here's mine. Goldberg, Ultimate Warrior, Sid Vicious, and, those are my influences.
Keep in mind too, this
And
is.
then just look at
Keep in mind too, this is your episode, your Mount Rushmore. So if you want to do some construction and add 6 more heads on, dude,
Yeah,
it's your episode.
it's your mountain.
We're doing Mount Rushmore for me. It's Steve Austin, The Rock, Randy Savage, and we'll go for Ric Flair. And if I remove Ric Flair, it'll be a Hulk Hogan or like a John Cena.
John Cena, hell yeah.
I'm very interested that you didn't say Mankind.
Yeah. I love him. I mean, I do, man. Like if I had to pick though, the ones that were very pivotal and like influencing me and what I would like to do and what I would like to be, it would be like Ric Flair. It would be Steve Austin, The Rock, and Randy Savage, because those are the ones that really drive me.
Mine's the same though. So
yours would be the same.
Like honestly, I just like maybe Undertaker.
Yeah,
take one of those spots.
I get
guys that
okay.
After.
Oh yeah.
And that's just wrestler wise. Like maybe like add a female talent.
Yeah,
they're there. But then again, there's like
I mean I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. What's Dahlia's female Mount Rushmore? Since we got you.
Yes, the honorary queen, RPD queen today.
I don't know. Like maybe okay. So I'm a huge Mark Blade. When I got involved with wrestling and studying different female talent, like Natalia always stood out as a really good ring general.
Natalia.
Ring general.
That's one.
God.
And remember, if you're listening along, get in your questions.
China.
Because we do have a guest here just kind of creeping on us. So go ahead, make your voice heard.
Maybe they're just watching.
Are you a hater or supporter? Answer the question. So I don't know. Like,
So
what
you
would you say?
you got
Trish probably, and
yeah.
then Lita. Like, are those just too generic to like
Yeah.
say though?
No,
like, I
those
said,
are-
they're the hierarchy. Like, I love them. I worship their talent, and then the footage I've studied of them.
Well,
but
I think those are.
I'm just curious to see what you would say as a female talent.
I think those are 4 very important women wrestlers to have: China, Natalia, Trish, and Lita.
China,
sure.
Trish and Lita. Trish and Lita are very pivotal for how today's landscape looks.
Yeah.
Like they're very important to that. China is very important to it also, and then Natalia is that bridge. She wasn't around with them. She showed up right after them, so she's kind of that bridge from that first generation to what we have
Natalia
now, because she's still
Natalia and
he had a little bit of both.
Natalia and Michelle McCool. I always kind of call them the bright stars in a dark sky, because those were the two who were really the work rates of the women's division for those kind of dark periods of the the late 2000s, early 2010s for the women's wrestling.
Yeah, from like 2008 2008 to like 2012. Yeah.
And I answered that question more so as a wrestler as opposed to as a fan, because there's many people even now that fans could be like, oh, this is like a really good talent that's out right now. But as a wrestler and who I would trust with my body, those four women.
Awesome.
Absolutely. That's cool.
That's a very
I'm down
cool
with that.
answer. Well, I have another question for you, and this
Here
one's
it
very
comes.
dear to my heart. Now, yes, here it comes, Jesse.
Me?
You know it's coming.
Oh, I'm nervous. Don't make me sweat.
You guys were trained under Rikishi. And
Yeah.
do you guys keep up with current WWE product today?
I do not.
I do more so than her, but I usually do it through 2 podcasts, and that's about it.
So,
like if something cool happens, I keep up with what's going on with like the stuff that interests me. Whether it's Brock, I'm a huge Brock Lesnar mark, or Cody. I do some of the Roman Reigns stuff, and I was doing
having
the CM Punk
palpitations.
stuff, but that is what it is. Yep.
Me personally, I haven't been watching footage because dealing with CRPS, being in chronic pain all the time messes with my mental health. And then when the pain's triggered, sometimes I can open a really dark door of wrestling put me in that wheelchair. So I do not really watch anything for years now, but I'm aware of different things.
She keeps
But
up a little
I
bit.
keep up with it because it's
Thank
my
God.
business,
It's your
but it's my job, but not as a fan. But with that being said, as I get closer to being medically cleared, I'm going to start watching the product again.
So would you say that you? Would you both say that you know about the Roman Reigns Tribal Chief storyline going on?
Oh yeah.
Sweet tits, because
absolutely.
the question is being trained under Rikishi, being that close, the closest guest we've ever had to learning almost under the same learning tree Roman Reigns did. As fans of the business and wrestlers in the business, do you acknowledge Roman Reigns as your one and only tribal chief and undisputed champion like I do?
Oh my lord.
Nah.
No, I don't. Rikishi is. Or Haku.
Haku.
They never held the title for over 1,000 days, but Roman
Yay,
Reigns.
more no's, Joey.
Can I
More
tell
no's.
you?
We're breaking Joey's heart.
Two more no's for Roman. You are. Oh my God, I'm about to have a heart attack over here.
Can I tell you a funny story about Haku really quick? So I am a nobody. And
Don't say that.
I'm just amazed that I'm in like New York and then at the time. Well, guys, let me be humble. Okay?
We don't do humility on this podcast. You're here to get over.
Yeah.
Well, so I am a nobody, and I just I believe in, like we just mentioned, tearing down and setting up rings. Like, you're never old enough to not learn something or pay your dues. So we're always paying dues in this business and sacrificing. So even though I got paid to go up there, I ended up staying and tearing down our setup in New Jersey after Wrestle Bash 2. I was there with our promoter, and I was tearing down, and Haku was there.
Yeah.
And as we're struggling to take down these metal bars, it was two younger guys. They were struggling taking down
I was watching.
Honestly, I was gonna say it. Savage, and then this other guy was just like taking down bars. To be fair, you were in and out taking out luggage from the hotel and going in and out. So you weren't really like just standing there watching, or you would have helped. But so everyone's running around. Wrestle Bash is done. All the fans are leaving, and Haku's there, and these two young guys are struggling to take down the metal beams that had our tarps and our photos and everything. So I'm just like, fuck it. So I, being disabled and a woman, just go and I start ripping apart the bar or whatever and helping them. And as I'm doing it, Haku approaches, takes it from me, and he's, older, and he just
legitimately
does it
scary human
and
being,
stepped
though.
in, and I was just like,
I don't care if that man's 90 years old.
Nathaniel told me stories.
He's nice. He's
Let
very
me just
cool.
say this. Two younger guys, probably in their 30s to 40s, that not to have him take it from me and just like tear it down, like act like it was nothing, and I'm like, what were you like when you were younger? God, I was immediately like, impregnate me.
Well, just know too, it's
It's like I
never.
like that
Well,
one.
also know it's never too late to acknowledge your tribal chief. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's true. I think I'm more on that LA
Yeah.
Knot train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Dummy.
Love that
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we
Yeah.
we really appreciate you guys being on. Just to kind of finish up here, where can people get? Where can people find you guys on social media? Where can they see you live? Nate, I know you have a couple of appearances, or at least one that I know of that's coming up here. So if you guys, either of you, have anything to plug, now's the time. We'll put all your links down in the description when the video goes out. So take it away.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Facebook as we opened up this podcast as Dahlia Black. I had to flip it because apparently I can't have the Black Dahlia as a first name. But so you guys can find me normally on social medias as the Black Dahlia, but there are fake Instagram accounts. So normally the one with the most followers, that's me.
Yeah.
So I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, but then also you guys can subscribe to my OnlyFans, and I love interacting with my fans on there. It's a great way for me to actually respond to my fans, so definitely check that out and subscribe, guys.
Yeah. And I'm on all social media. I got TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, my YouTube. I've been growing that. I think I'm 420 some subscribers now, which is cool for me.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
that big of a deal.
No, that's awesome.
Because we put everything up on there, like all our road. Thanks. We put all our road vlogs up there, like when I went and bought a bunch of chainsaws down in Alabama over this past summer. We'll do stuff like where she went to New York and New Jersey, all the behind the scenes, and then I'll put my matches up on my GoPro,
I think
which is pretty.
I think I've seen a
pretty
couple.
cool, like-
And you guys do like autograph signings as well? You guys film those?
When does this
So
go
this
up?
should be going up either tomorrow or day after. It all just depends on the.
Okay.
Cool.
Sometimes podcasts. Okay, so a couple podcasts film like they don't drop
month
it
in
for
advance,
a month in
yeah.
advance. I have a couple that are about to drop, but since it's dropping tomorrow, guys, I am doing a virtual signing, and if you go to one of my social medias, you'll see it advertised, and you guys can contact the booker. They're tagged, and if you guys want a signed autograph, I'm doing special customs. So if you guys want something special for me to sign. You name it. So just definitely check that out.
Yeah, she's already got a bunch that's going out, so go ahead and hop on it while you can. And as far as any day appearances, I'll be in Bradford, Tennessee next Friday, I think, the 22nd, for Premier Professional Wrestling. It's my debut down there. I've never wrestled in Tennessee, so this will be my first. I was supposed to have a show this weekend, but the show got canceled. It was going to be in Tennessee, so And then October 1st, I'm back at New South Wrestling in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, and our coach Rikishi will actually be there. He's the commissioner of New South. So
yeah, I was just texting him about that, seeing if he had.
So come down and check that out, and I'll just randomly come if you're in the Lexington, Kentucky area next month, October 21st, 22nd, Scarefest. We're going to be down there with our friend Ari Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3.
Nice.
He's going to be using our Excalibur chainsaw for the third year in a row to do his photo ops, dressed as Leatherface. So it'll be like, so if you want to come hang out with us, I know we're already meeting some people. Another one of the Leatherfaces, that's our good friend Brett Wagner. He's going to be there.
Definitely check out
Scarefest. If you're at Scarefest, come by and see us.
Stay tuned for the post because I've switched the date. But if you're also around the area, Land of Illusion, we're going to be doing a modeling photo shoot.
I've been there.
Yep.
And have you? Yeah. So the owner reached out, and we're going to be making an appearance there coming soon.
I don't know I don't know if you guys ever heard of the radio station called WEBN. No, well, they go to that Land of Illusions a lot, and they have a host that I've always wanted to meet named Shroom, and I got to meet him there at that event. Got a picture with him, and it was like really cool.
Where are you guys out of?
So
Well, I'm in Kentucky right now, but I'm from Indiana. That's where how me and my friend went up there to Land of Illusions.
yeah, we kind of span the U.S.
Okay.
Because
I thought-
Joey and Eddie, they're based out of
Awesome.
Kentucky. I'm in Wisconsin. Ty's over in Washington.
Okay.
So
And you guys are from where you are.
Hell yeah, I dig it.
Honestly, I thought where you said he went to Land of Illusion, I was like, where? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought they were from Kentucky or
get that.
something.
Because Land of Illusions is like a bunch of
Yeah.
haunted houses, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's where, I got to meet my favorite radio host there, and like we talked about like Linkin Park and that Chester Bennington's death and stuff because they're my favorite band. So we got to talk about that for a minute and got a photo and like cool, one of my coolest experiences ever. Like just really cool.
That's
And
cool,
and like that happened at
I
Land of
love that.
Illusions, the same place you're talking about.
Hell yeah, I love that. That's very cool. I love hearing
All
stuff
right.
like that. We appreciate you guys
oh
having
no,
us.
not a
on.
problem.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm
This-
sorry for talking.
No,
This might have been the best interview we've ever did.
Yeah,
I know. I had much.
we
Oh,
keep
no,
saying that,
I
but
am
it's true.
Sleep deprived. Like
I had a lot of fun on this
Thank you.
interview.
Really appreciate it.
I'm
was a lot of
sorry
fun.
for being a little late. Nate had to put in his hair extension.
Yeah, I'm a real high maintenance bitch. You know.
Dead ass. I slept for like 2 hours. I took my allergy meds, Benadryl, and I was out for like 2 hours, and then I woke up groggy. And in less than 15 minutes, I clipped in my hair extension, half-assed my makeup, and I'm like, I'm here.
Well, we
And
appreciate you.
So I'm sorry for looking disheveled.
No,
I'm just
you're
glad
fine.
I got to experience this interview with you guys and my future world champion, Mr. Eddie Wade.
Hell yeah.
All right.
You guys are so professional. Thank you for
Oh,
having
no,
us
thank
on.
you
Thanks
guys.
for coming on.
And thank you for being on, and thank you to our listeners. This has been the Ring Post Daily Podcast. Once again, from myself, Jesse Henrik, the RPD Prophecy Champion, Tyreek Ramsey, the Ring General, Joey Hudson, Eddie Wade, and of course our awesome guests, Evil Nate and the Black Dahlia. Saying it correctly this time. We would all like to wish you happy wrestling. Have a good night. Goodbye.